Yo, what is going on? Oh man, it's been a long time since I've done a podcast episode, and there's been a lot going on. Anyway, we will discuss that in future episodes, kind of what's been going on with me. I know a lot of people have been asking me when I'm going to do another podcast or a Tuesday Thoughts with Jason. And they're all back on the way. I'm finding that even with how busy my life has been, that I enjoy doing these, and just really trying to find more opportunities to really get my thoughts out there with Tuesday Thoughts, and even on the podcast, just like doing more of it, doing more content just for the sake of doing it. You know, I'm blessed that there are people that watch or that listen and that do enjoy it. But, you know, this is kind of one of my getaways, as it were, you know, just something that just kind of relaxes me, to be honest, but keeps me in a creative flow. So anyway, last week I had the opportunity to go out to Charlotte, North Carolina, hang out for a few days with my boy Brian Bullock. Went to check out his church. They're killing and rocking it. But while I was out there, I got to go see the movie Michael. You know, the movie about Michael Jackson. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today for my first episode back. I thought the movie was good. Let me just start there. Now, I will say this. I didn't go see it like the day it opened. So I know a lot of people's gripe with it was there was so much left out. And there are various reasons. Number one, you're talking about a guy, Michael Jackson, who was basically a star since he was a kid, since like age 6 or 7, and he died at 50. So to try to cover someone that iconic for that wide of a span of time, like, you would need to do like a docu-series. Honestly, that would probably need to be at least 4 episodes to do it any justice like that. But it wasn't a docu-series, and so I went in knowing that, and I appreciate what I did get to see in it, because, you know, when Michael Jackson was really doing this thing, I was a kid. You know, I was born in 79. So he, you know, a lot of things that transpired with him, like the Pepsi commercial and stuff, I was a little kid. And so I enjoyed just like some things that were brought out that I don't recall being that prevalent back then in the news or anything like that. One of which, talking about the whole incident with Pepsi gave him a settlement like 1.7 million or something like that, they said, and he donated every penny of it to the burn unit at the hospital where he was at. And I don't think that was really talked about that much. And I kind of want to talk about that, because that's pretty incredible. He didn't take any of that money. He donated it. And if you really look into it, the amount of money, I think they said he's donated in his lifetime, over 300 million to charities. And I think he was involved with like over 65 charities, something like that at the time was like the most by any celebrity or artist or anything like that. And I think just the way the society is today, we highlight more drama and more negativity on things and people and just in this world, period. And then when you see good things like that, we get really quiet and we don't really talk about the good things that people are doing. And I think that if we talked about that more, it would cause more people to do more nice things, or, you know, different things like that. And that to me was probably one of the great moments in the movies for me, just to know that he did things like that, even with the children. And I know everybody has controversy about him and the kids. You know, it wasn't like he had rich kids around him. He was trying to give a life to these kids that he never had. And I know we all have well, if it was me, I wouldn't do this, or if I was in that position, I'd do this. And one thing my grandfather always taught us growing up is you never know what you do in a situation until you're in it. You know, none of us have ever experienced to not have a not just a normal childhood, but practically a childhood at the degree of which it happened for him to be a child star all the way into adulthood. Like there was never no break. You know, there's some actors that were children actors and very popular then, and now you don't hear nothing about. But Michael Jackson was a thing his entire life. Honestly, that I wouldn't want that kind of fame or pressure. You know, I like to be able to go to Walmart or 7-Eleven. But outside of that, one thing, after I seen the movie, my boy Brian asked me, he was like, so what are your thoughts on Joe Jackson? Where are you at with that? And at the time I told him I was 50-50 in the sense that you have to give credit where credit is due. There would be no Jackson 5, there'd be no Michael Jackson without Joe Jackson. And I know people may take issue with his approach or how he dealt with them, but you know, when you look at this movie, or you even look at This Is It, or you watch interviews with people that were around Michael Jackson, one of the biggest things was his discipline and his attention to detail. Even he says he was a perfectionist, so he was never satisfied. I think those tools were instilled in him from his father. You know, there's a scene in there, and I'm spoiling it for anybody that hasn't seen it, but there's a scene in there where they go do like one of their first shows. They come back, they're all hype, and their dad is like, in the house, we got rehearsal. And they're like, what? It was a good show. You know, it was like he was never satisfied. And I think he instilled that in his children. And, you know, and so for a father to believe in his kids when, you know, nobody was looking for them, you know, they were nothing, and he took them to where they're at. So you have to give him credit for that. For me, where I think he messed up at, or the other 50, I would be like, okay, against him, quote unquote, is that I think he didn't know how to be a father. And if I was going to get on or have an issue with him with anything, is that he never was a actual father to his kids. He was their manager, you know, and I think he didn't know how to switch that off. And I think that's what drove a wedge between him and his kids. I watched an interview where Michael said that he wanted to call him dad, and he made them call him Joseph. They could not call him dad, you know, and you look at that, and when you're talking about kids, as kids, and the way their life was, to not have that, I think that's why he gravitated so much to his mother, because she was actually his mom, you know. And I think there's again a scene in there where they're in recording for Motown there with Berry Gordy, and Michael's in the room with him, and he's showing him, you know, how to work a mixer board and all these different things. And Joe comes in there and it's like, come on, you know, Barry's a really busy man, let's go. And right before Michael walked out, Berry Gordy tells him like, hey, you can bother me anytime. You can ask me all the questions you want. And Michael goes and gives him a big old hug. And you could just see Joe looking like, almost like, dang, like, why don't I have that connection with my kid? And you would think that would spark something in him to do something, but he doesn't. He doesn't change who he is. And even when you watch interviews on YouTube right after Michael died, he's still doing things like promoting his label. And I don't think it's because he's a terrible guy. I just think he just did not know how to turn the switch off when it came to his family, when it came to his children. And that's sad. And I think in many reasons it could, or one of the reasons could be, which some parents fall into this trap, you know, for whatever reason, they want to live their dreams through their children. And so things that they wish they could have done or wish they could have accomplished, they put the pressure on their children to do because they weren't able to do them. And I think a part of it could have been that. I think that the Jackson 5 and that whole thing became his identity. And so that was what he was known for. He's like, this is Michael Jackson's dad. You know, like, I think that became his identity, and all he really wanted to was, almost at any cost, was that for his boys to be successful, or for his family to be very successful. And it cost his relationship with his children. Now, I I was thinking about this talking to another friend when I got back about the movie. So there's this a statement that Dr. Miles Monroe makes. He says, "Where purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable." And I really felt that when it came to Joe Jackson. So basically, if I take this screwdriver, this is a screwdriver. This is meant to screw in screws. It's a Phillips head. So it's meant to screw in Phillips head screws. If I take this, turn it over and start beating a nail with it as if it's a hammer, that is abuse, because the purpose of a screwdriver is not to bang things in, it's to screw things in. And so anytime you don't understand what the actual purpose, it becomes abuse. And so as it relates to Joe, it wasn't that he didn't understand the purpose of his children. What I think is he didn't understand the purpose of himself. And his first main purpose is to be his kid's father. Like his first ministry, as we would say in the church space, is family. The Bible teaches us that your first ministry is your family. And I think because he didn't understand that, he just became their manager. And I think he leaned heavy on, kind of, as it were, into the provider side. And it was like, as a provider, this is a way that we provide for the family, is that y'all be successful artists, singers, and musicians. And he turned off the fact that his first thing is to be their father. And I think that's where he went wrong. That's where he messed up, because he didn't understand his own purpose as their father. And so they didn't get that. They didn't feel that love from him. And it definitely drew probably the biggest wedge between him and Michael and him and Janet. And and so for me, when I look at movies like this, that's kind of how my mind works. I'm looking at what are meanings, what are things that I can get from watching this? What can I learn to apply to my life, especially because I'm in the music business or in the entertainment space, is just learning how to turn that off, how to not be on all the time. And I think me getting back into doing the podcast and the Tuesday Thoughts, for me, that helps, because then it's not just all, oh, music. I got these gigs, or I got this tour coming up, or I got this show coming up. I can just sit in front of my camera in the comfort of my own home and just share my thoughts and just talk. And that brings me down to earth, even interacting with people. That's why, no matter how quote unquote successful I get or busy I get on the road and stuff, when I'm home, I'm going to church. I want to be around people that I know, people that I commune with, and I could just be Jason. And I think that if Joe had that, if he had someone that could tell him, that could get through to him, like, yo, man, like, great job. Kudos on what you did with your kids and their careers and how they've gotten, but they need a dad. They need you to be their father. They don't need you to be their manager. They need you to be their father. Even when he was no longer Michael's manager or even Janet's manager, he still never totally switched over. I think probably nearing the end of his life, especially around the time when Michael was on trial, I think he did try to. Like, I think he was there. He was at the trial walking with Michael. I think there were moments where he was trying to be that dad that he should be for his children. I don't give him any green cards, any passes on anything else he may have done, that people might be like, oh yeah, well, he's crazy and he abused his children and different things like that. But I tell you what, none of his kids were locked up in jail and criminals and, or ended up dead. So he did something right. him and they did something right with them children. So I really enjoyed the movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go check it out. It's a good movie. I hear they're going to be doing a part 2 to kind of probably introduce a lot of stuff that people felt they should have talked about more, or brought out more in the movie. So we'll see what happens with that second one. But it was good. I enjoyed it. As a music person, I wish that I would have been able to see him live and in person, you know, because I think I was old enough to have been able to see him at some point. But you know, you just never know. Like, you never. Sometimes I think we just think that we have all the time in the world, or that people are just going to be around forever. Then they're gone, and we're like, man, I had that opportunity to have, you know, I should have took advantage of being able to see that person. So now I'm like, if I get the opportunity to see any of these living legends, I'm doing it. I got to see Prince. I mean, not Prince. I did not get to see Prince. I had to see Stevie Wonder in concert, and Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock pulled up. You know, it was right before Chick Corea passed away. So, you know, I was blessed to be able to see those living legends all on one stage. It was incredible. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here, say I'm here. You know, I'm still around. And like I said, in future episodes, I'll kind of be talking about what has actually been going on with me, why I have not recorded any episodes in a while. But I don't want this to be extremely long. So I'm about to hop off, go check out Michael. And I hope that you're all having a wonderful day today. And I'll see you in the next one.